Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And in this video, I want to talk about the movie Snow White, the live-action remake that came out this last year, the absolute disaster movie of the year, and one of the most disaster movies we've ever seen in movies and in Disney and all that. I finally got around to watching this on video on demand. That's out on now. It's not on Disney Plus yet, but you can watch this on like video on demand, like I said. I thought about seeing this in theater, but just knowing how bad this movie was going to be, I was like, why waste my time and money seeing a theater? But I definitely wanted to catch it because it just seemed like it's like watching. It's like there's a car, or it's like a car is on the train tracks, and you see the train coming for like 2 years, and you know, hey, if you don't get those car off the train tracks, that train's gonna hit it. And so the car just sits there, and we're just waiting for the train to hit. And finally hit this year. We finally got the Snow White, and so I thought about just doing like, what I've been watching lately, but this movie is just so astronomically disastrous that I feel like I need a whole video just talking about my opinion on this movie. So stay tuned to hear what I thought on Snow White here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Friday evening. And yeah, again, I thought, can I just spend 10 minutes talking about this movie? I don't know. There's so much to talk about that I thought I need a whole video talking about Snow White. Because I wanted to watch it because, again, I knew it was going to be a disaster. I mean, we all knew it. We all knew this was going to be terrible. It's funny watching a movie that you know is going to be terrible before you watch it. So then you watch it and you just know it is. It's like, so how do you review a movie that you just know it's going to be terrible? It's interesting, but I do have thoughts on that as I'm watching it. I watched it just a couple days ago. Of course, looking back at it, it's just this movie's so crazy how it came about. We were told, I feel like maybe 3 years ago, I don't know, we were told a while ago, it feels like, that Disney is making a live action Snow White. Of course, we just got through like The Little Mermaid was the big movie a couple years ago, and I don't think did particularly well and had a lot of controversies on that as well. And then we're announced, all right, we're gonna do Snow White, and then as soon as we get the announcement that Rachel Zegler is gonna play Snow White, there's some controversy there because, again, Snow White is traditionally very white. That's why she's called Snow White. That's the whole idea behind it, is that she has white skin. And so then, of course, as we do, and Disney doesn't like to hire white actors as the leads, it seems like lately. They get Rachel Zegler, who's of some Hispanic descent. I'm not sure all of her makeup, but obviously she's not pure white like you would think Snow White. So already, right when we saw the casting, we're like, oh man, where is this movie going? They're obviously, not going to really resemble the Snow White that we know and love from the 30s, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. They're definitely changing some things. Obviously, in Disney, so woke and liberal, we know that they're going to be making modern changes to the story to fit, the modern liberal times that they are and what movies are today, instead of trying to be true to the source material. So we just knew bad stuff was happening. And it got worse. It was like, that's bad enough when live action remakes are already getting a bad rap. The fact that we got Rachel Zegler starring as Snow White, who doesn't really resemble Snow White in any way that we think of, already we're like, gosh, this already looks like a disaster. And boy, it got even worse as the years went by. As soon as, a couple of things. First thing, Peter Dinklage talking about Snow White and in some interview and talking about, oh, how demeaning it is to have, dwarves again. And he really did not like Snow White and Seven Dwarfs because the Seven Dwarfs he thought was, demeaning towards little people and were backwards and live in a cave or something like that. So he thought it was kind of offensive to have the Snow White movie with the little dwarves, whatever. And so it felt like as soon as that came out, then they were like, okay, we're not going to have, little people dwarves, whatever, which is like, that's what the dwarves are, they're little people. But they're fantasy. They're not, there's a bit of a fantasy there. And then we got the picture of the seven bandits, and we all kind of flipped out because we're like, because the bandits were, obviously very diverse, and had the costuming was a little weird, and we thought at the time like, oh, are these seven? Are this the seven dwarfs? Instead of dwarfs, are these seven? Uh, you know, anyways, individual women, men. There's one little person in the cast there. But we found out later that these aren't replacing the dwarves. These are the seven bandits that are added to the story. And then we see what the dwarves look like. And we find out that they are CGI'd. And the first trailer we ever got, it was like, I remember first time seeing the trailer going, wow, this looks horrible. The CGI dwarves look just terrible. Just really takes you out of the movie. Just watching the trailer, I was like, this has got disaster written all over it. Just from seeing that trailer, that first trailer, teaser trailer, and seeing that, like, and I thought from the very beginning, like, if you're doing live action, why not get actual actors? That's the whole point. If you're just going to do CGI dwarves, what's the point in doing a live action movie? You already got the cartoon dwarves. That's about the same thing. It makes no sense to me. You should only do live action if you're going to, you know, have real people, make it look realistic, in some way. But anyways, so that was terrible on its own. That's not even the worst part of it. The worst part of it is Rachel Zegler, who on the red carpet for the last like 2 years has totally insulted the memory of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, saying it's, this new one's gonna be more modern, that one's in the 30s, and they have the weird, calling the prince a stalker. It's like, come on. I mean, it was some of the worst things, and she looks so terrible talking about the movie on the red carpet, and saying it's not going to be about princes. It's not about a prince saving her. It's not about a love story. And that's really got me. I'm like, why not? What's wrong with a love story? I like love stories. I like princes and princes, falling in love and living happily ever after. That's what's so great about these kind of stories, is you love seeing those happy endings. And what's wrong with a prince, a man saving a woman, But today we can't do that in movies. It's like, no, women can't be saved by men anymore. It's, that's an old, old tradition. We don't do those anymore. The modern tradition is women save themselves, or they don't need a man to save them. And so we totally changed the story because of our modern, liberalism of Hollywood and all that. Anyway, so yeah, as soon as I heard Rachel Zegler say it's not a love story and the prince isn't going to save me, I was like, this is going to be horrible. I mean, you're totally changing what makes the movie, the original, so great, and the story so great, and you're getting rid of the dwarves basically. And now you got the CGI. I don't know. Everything was just so bad, and we knew it about 2 years ago. We all knew that this was going to be like the worst movie ever made, and so I was kind of anticipating watching it, dreading it a little bit, but still like, I'm kind of curious, how bad is this movie going to be? Of course, when it came out, the reviews were horrible. This has been one of the most worst reviewed movies I have ever seen in my life. IMDb have a 1.7 out of 10. That's one of the worst scores I've ever seen on IMDb. Even bad movies get like a 5 out of 10. You don't see much go below 5 or something. And this got a 1.7. I mean, the Rotten scores, it's even worse than I expected. Like, it made absolutely no money. I mean, they really lost a lot of money on this project. I don't know how much it cost, but man, it did not make any money. It was reviewed by, I mean, it was just the absolute worst. I mean, and I think Rachel Zegler, I don't think she's going to get another job. I mean, not anytime soon. She totally just ruined her career by being stupid on the red carpet. It's bad enough that the movie could have been bad, but it's even worse because of Rachel Zegler and what she said on the red carpet, Anyways, going to that, I know I'm talking about all the stuff coming with the movie. It's just incredible. But watching the movie itself, I kind of knew it was going to be bad, so it's funny going into it knowing it's going to be bad and watching it going, yeah, I know this is bad, but it's like, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, though. It's not as, I think Madam Web was much worse than this movie, for instance, I would say. It's still not a very good movie. It's still a really bad movie. But part of me was like, oh, this wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. So almost part of me, I think if I didn't know all the stuff that happened before and I just watched this without knowing any of the background information, maybe I would have thought this was like the worst movie ever made, but because I knew it was gonna be bad, it was like didn't surprise me. And so I kind of was like, oh yeah, that's not that bad, you know. So it's almost helped the movie for me knowing that it was gonna be bad beforehand. Saying that, it's still a bad movie, and I think the worst part of the movie for me is the casting of Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot, whatever, as the evil queen, whatever. I think it's the worst casting, some of the worst casting I've ever seen in my life. And you realize casting really can help a movie, it can really kill a movie. And this is a really good example of casting just ruining the movie, just without even doing anything. You just look at who's in the two roles and you should go, yeah, this movie is going to fail just because of the casting. Casting is obviously we're going to start giving. I think they're talking about giving Oscars to best casting maybe in the future, and that doesn't sound like a bad idea now because you realize casting is important, maybe more important than we even think about. Yeah, Rachel Zegler did not feel like Snow White at all during the movie. Did not sound like, I don't know, just didn't act like it. Didn't I never felt once that, oh, this is Snow White. You know, it was not that it was a bad performance, it's just it wasn't the right actress for the role. It's just a total failure on that. And I think like because when I think of Snow White, I think of like Amy Adams in Enchanted. I think Amy Adams, the way she acted in Enchanted, that's the way Snow White should be acting. She should be so. The whole thing about Snow White is she is so likable. She's so charming. She's, you know, everybody just immediately like really likes her and wants to protect her. And, you know, and she, you know, of course, she meets the dwarves and dwarves aren't sure about her at first, but, you know, like she helps clean the house and cook dinner. And then and then she sings that song, you know, someday my prince will come. And you see all the dwarves just really love her. They just really love her. And I don't know, it really works that first animation movie. And I don't know, there's a sweetness to her that Rachel Zegler just doesn't have the sweetness to her as an actress. I'm sorry, but she just doesn't put off this nice sweetness that she needs to have as Snow White. In the movie, the way she talks, she's very sarcastic at times. Like when she's talking, of course, to the Jonathan, the bandit, whatever. I think his name's Jonathan, whatever, the love interest. I don't know. She just talked more like a modern person, modern girl. She was kind of very sarcastic. She didn't come off very sweet and nice, and the way you think Snow White should be. And she just sounded too modern when she spoke. Didn't sound like, yeah, again, just didn't sound like Snow White to me. Obviously, the look was off. I mean, Rachel Zegler, she's not a bad-looking woman. She's fine-looking, you know. But Snow White, the thing about Snow White is she's supposed to be so beautiful that the magic mirror says to the witch, whatever, that, you know, there's one more fairer than you, and that's Snow White. And I think now you can say, oh, the fair is supposed to be about how good you are on the inside, not the outside, whatever. But I think part of it, though, is you're supposed to be also very beautiful on the outside. I think was the original idea. And again, not saying Rachel Zegler is not good looking. She's fine looking. But I think you needed an actress like Sydney Sweeney or something like that in that I just go, wow, she's so beautiful. She's so nice. She's so lovely. Like Amy Adams would have been a great Snow White when she was younger, you know, like that kind of, you know, performance. Rachel Zegler has like these really dark eyebrows that really are distracting me. The whole movie, every time we see her face, all I can think about is, wow, those eyebrows are so dark and it's weird and it's off-putting and kind of hurts her overall beauty and her image. I don't know. It's just something. That's just a nitpick. I know, I'm sorry, I'm nitpicking here, but that's what I thought. I don't know if anybody else thought that. Like those eyebrows are something else. Just way too dark and thick or something. It just, I don't know. And the hairstyle is horrible. I mean, we saw it, but I knew that going in. You know, what can you say? They're trying to go for a Snow White hairstyle, but it didn't work on her. I don't know how to say it. Maybe that hairstyle would work better on another actress, but it did not work on her that short. I don't know. It just looked terrible. The hairstyle looked terrible. Her eyebrows looked terrible. Even the dress, they give the Snow White dress, it didn't look that great of a dress. It didn't look that fitting either. It felt a little looser on her than it should be. It feels like that thing should be a little bit tighter, should be a little more fitter on her. I don't know. It just didn't feel like that dress worked well either. So none of the costuming, makeup, actress herself, none of it worked for Snow White. And it right there, the movie was going to be terrible just because Rachel Zegler was just a bad cast. Now, obviously, it's a musical. There's a lot of songs, and she sings very well. She's in West Side Story. She's got a theater background, musical theater background, whatever. Yeah, she sounded great when she sang. So I can see you saying, yeah, she worked well. They got her because she's a good singer, but I'm sure there's other people that can sing, and even if they can't, we can work around that. And I don't think that's as important as actually looking and acting the part of Snow White. Anyways, so yeah, that was just absolutely horrible. The other bad casting to me was Gal Gadot as the queen, the evil queen witch, whatever. It was bad in that Gal Gadot is like one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in movies. She's just flawless. Oh my gosh, she's a supermodel. Yeah, and the queen is not supposed to be ugly. I'm not saying that. She's supposed to be, maybe okay looking, but I think I wonder if they should have had an older actress that maybe like used to be like really good looking when they were younger, but now they're a little bit older and they got, they're not ugly, but they got some wrinkles. They're not as, beautiful as they were as Snow White is younger. So maybe you can say, oh, she's more beautiful. And that would make sense to the evil queen being jealous and being like, wanting to look, wanting to be beautiful, being very vain, that would make sense for the character. But how can you have that when you have Gal Gadot, who's the most beautiful woman in the whole movie, way better looking than Rachel Zegler? I think everybody agrees on that. And it just doesn't make sense. And for her to be so, vain about the way she looks, and then so jealous of Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot should not be jealous of the way Rachel Zegler looks, or that she's more beautiful than her. There's hardly anybody that can compete with Gal Gadot's beauty. To me, it's not that she gave a bad performance, but it's just that, again, it's just the looks. They just didn't look or act like the characters they need to be. And those are the two most important characters of the movie, of course, that drive the story. And you need you need better casting. And I'm spending a lot of time on it because to me, that's probably the worst part of the movie is the two leads are just terrible. I don't know. You just need to get and here's the thing. Snow White's been done before. That's the other thing. It's hard to do another Snow White movie when I feel like we've done Snow White and the Huntsman. We did Mirror, Mirror. I think Julia Roberts was the evil queen. That's a good casting because Julia Roberts, very good looking lady. She's a little bit older, so she's not as, maybe good looking as she was younger. That really worked, I think, for that movie. It doesn't for Gal Gadot. Anyways, and just thinking about casting, like I said, can really make or break your movie. In a sense, like even Little Mermaid, the actress that played Little Mermaid did a fine job. I had no problem with that. A lot of the casting actually wasn't that bad in that movie. That wasn't why that movie was not good or whatever. Peter Pan and Wendy. There's a movie Peter Pan and Wendy on Disney Plus. The actor that plays Peter, Peter Pan. Yeah, really bad casting there. And it was just a bad movie overall. But he just need good casting. And I'm trying to think of a good example. I think in Beauty and the Beast, Emma Watson, whatever, playing Belle, that was good casting. I think she looked and acted the part, and I totally believed her in that. That's an example of, that's a good casting for a Disney live action movie, for Beauty and the Beast. And I'm sure there's other ones I can think of, but I don't think we've ever seen casting this bad before. It's the worst. Now getting the Seven Dwarfs, they look odd, being the CGI. The worst case though is Dopey. Dopey looks nothing like the cartoon version. They did a whole different design on it, and it's weird because it doesn't look like the rest of the dwarfs. The dwarfs, they don't look like regular little people. They're dwarves. They're kind of a fantasy character. And then you have Dopey, who looks just like a little kid. He doesn't look like a dwarf, fantasy dwarf. He just looks like a little kid, and it's just like, I don't know. I guess for me, someone who really likes the original Snow White and really would love to see, I know it's a story besides, it doesn't have to be exactly like the cartoon from the 30s, but I don't know, when you grow up loving that version of the movie, why change it? Why make all these changes? You're just going to make audiences mad, the fans mad, and that's what they did. Dopey, really terrible. I thought that was, and then he talks. There's a whole thing with Dopey, and he actually talks at the end of the movie, which was weird. Like, why are we having Dopey actually talk? Is Dopey a dwarf? What is Dopey? I don't understand. Dopey is also like one of the great characters of the movie. He's so funny. And they took that out. They took out one of the best characters of the movie by making him, designing him the way they did, and he wasn't as funny as he is in the cartoon. Grumpy, the design's not bad, but the voice I thought was bad. Like, I don't know, he had a very gruff voice, but yet, I don't know, I didn't like his voice. Sorry. And I know the voice actor who played Grumpy is actually a little person in real life, so they actually got a little person to do the voice, and he could have, actually played the character if they would have done it right. But yeah, I don't know. It was something was off there. I will say Doc was really good. I thought the design of Doc was good. I thought the voice actor who did Doc was really good. And Doc had probably most lines out of any dwarf, and he was kind of the leader of the dwarves. Good job there. I will give him credit. I thought they did Doc really well. The other dwarves, you don't really get a lot of personality out of them. It's really like Doc, Grumpy, and Dopey are kind of the three dwarves you get the most screen time, I would say. Anyways, the problem dwarves are the best part of the original movie. This movie, of course, they don't come in till pretty long into the movie, it feels like, till they finally come in. And it feels like they're not in the movie that much. And yet they also don't have the charm of the original. What makes the original so good, the dwarves are just so funny and charming, and you really like them right away. They're not, it's not that they're bad, but I don't know, they just don't quite have the charm of the first. They don't quite capture that. And the relationship they have with Snow White, it's like Snow White just shows up and they're like, well, we'll protect you, except for Grumpy's like, get out of here. But everybody else is like, Doc's like, yeah, we'll protect you, stay here, whatever. And I don't remember exactly like that in the original. But like I said, they took out the best part of the original, which is her singing Someday My Prince Will Come. It's the best song in the movie. It's not in this movie because there's no prince. They decided not to have a prince, so they can't sing that song. And that's like my favorite scene in the movie, is when she sings that song and all the dwarves are listening and they're like, really intense on hearing her story. That's such a great scene in the movie. They don't have that. The song where they have to wash before dinner and they never wash, like they never taken a bath or something, or they never wash their hands or something. That's such a funny scene in the movie that they don't have in this movie. They had in the original. So they obviously took out some of the best parts of the original, which sucks. It's like you have the best parts of the original and you don't put in the live action remake. Instead, you have scenes in this movie that weren't in the original that weren't anything. And this goes to, again, the dwarves need to be in the movie more, I think, because I said they're the best part of the movie. I do like the hi-ho song when they're in the mine and they're singing the hi-ho. That actually was really good in the movie. I actually like that whole sequence, probably the best musical sequence in the movie. Well, they add these 7 bandits. Instead of having a prince, come save Snow White, they have this 7 bandits, whatever, that are stealing from the queen and giving to the poor and whatever. And the leader is the romantic interest, a good-looking guy. And he did a good job. I think he actually, if they would have made him the prince, he would have been a good prince, in the, I think, was it Prince Charming, whatever he is in the Snow White movie. But so they have the romance. They do have the romance, even though Rachel Zegler said this isn't about, a love story. It is, though. There is a love story. So Rachel Zegler wasn't totally honest there. But they do have the love story, and it was okay. I mean, they do kind of fall in love pretty quickly. I mean, after just knowing each other. So I can't say and I don't think the chemistry was that great between Rachel Zegler and this other actor. I would say it wasn't great. I didn't totally feel like, oh yeah, they're really in love or should be in love. But the original doesn't have a very good love story either. To be honest, they didn't really hardly have the prince in the original. They could have made that better in the original. And they had a chance here to make that better, and they made it a little better, but not perfect. But I guess it's better. They had some more screen time together, so that was good. But again, he should have been a prince. He should have been just a bandit. That's stupid. And so we spent all this time with these bandits when we could have spent them with the dwarves. Why have these 7 bandits when you already have 7 dwarves? It just doesn't make any sense. I thought that was a stupid idea to put in there. Even though there's a little person in the bandits who's maybe the best character in the whole movie. I do like his kind of character arc of he's he's a great crossbow guy, but he doesn't have a crossbow, and he says it got stolen. And then to the movie, he actually gets a crossbow, and he's actually really good with it. So I go, oh, okay, he is really good with the crossbow. That was actually kind of fun, and he actually has some good moments. This little actor that was in the Bandits, not in the Dwarves, but in the Bandits, actually had some good scenes. It's like, why wasn't he one of the Dwarves? That would have been a great actor to put in one of the Dwarves. Anyways, um, so yeah, so that was a miss there. And the ending was really stupid. I mean, and I knew the ending before I got to it, so I knew it was stupid even before I got into this movie. But the way that the queen gets defeated is just stupid and anticlimactic, and it just, I remember it happened, and I was like, oh, that's it. She's defeated. Like, it was so surprisingly bad. Like, the original was much better, and I think they could even improved on the original, because she just dies from the dwarves are chasing her, and she like falls off a cliff, like. And I could have had a scene where they actually kill her, that would have been fine too, but much better than this version where she just breaks the mirror and then she gets sucked into the mirror, and that's, so she kills herself on accident. I don't know, it's such a lame way for this really good villain to go. I thought it was such a stupid idea behind that, and all of a sudden they win, and we got the finale. So yeah, bad ending. Yeah, just a lot of stuff added here that didn't need to be added. Especially the songs. There's a lot more songs in this than the original. There's really not that many songs, I don't think, in the original. It wasn't exactly a full-on musical. This is a full-on musical. Now, Rachel Zegler, she has the, you've seen the trailer, I'm the girl that I'm meant to be, whatever. And it's, again, it's different from the movie. The original movie, I feel like the princess, she's, she wants her prince to come save her because she's being worked as a servant by this queen after her dad dies, whatever. And so, yeah, she wants the prince to come save her from this misery that she's in. And she wants to be in, she wants to fall in love, and she wants to live happily ever after. This one, it's less about that, more about her wanting to be a leader. She wants to be the leader, and she wants to find her dad, because they don't say her dad's dead. They just say that he's missing, kind of, I think. And so she's like, so there's a sense that maybe her dad's still alive. We don't really get to that in the end, but the whole movie is more about her wanting to be a leader than falling in love and the prince saving her. So I don't know. It's not a bad song. I will say the songs aren't not that bad. They're fine. The Queen does have a song that's like unnecessary. I'm like, we didn't need a Queen song. I don't think. I know villains usually have a song, but I was like, okay, we didn't need that song. It didn't really do anything for me. Besides, you probably heard Gal Gadot can't really sing either. So we didn't need that scene at all. So it did feel like there was too many songs. And like I said, we took out the best song in the movie from the original. It's not even in here. And we added these other new songs. And some might say it's terrible. It's not the worst part of the movie, but it's not the greatest thing in the world either. But yeah. Gosh, I'm sure there's more to say about this, but I feel like I've talked quite a bit. Obviously, you can tell I'm very negative on the film. Yeah, it is very bad. It's not the worst thing in the world, though. I would say it's the worst movie I've seen so far this year. I'd give it a 1 star out of 5. Yeah, it's just the fact that all the information, all the stuff that happened before hurts the movie, but just the fact that we have the original that's so good, and then this is what you give us in live action, that always is a bad thing anyways. And just how far off they went from the original material just, hurts it, I think. And again, just the casting was just so bad that made it unwatchable just on that alone anyways. And so, yeah, just bad all the way around. Just a bad disaster that I think we're going to be talking about for a while. And hopefully Disney will look at this and go, gosh, we got to change, or we're going to just lose a lot of money because people aren't going to watch this crap anymore. Anyway, so we'll see what we'll get out of what other Disney property can they ruin next. We'll see. But anyways, that's my thought on Snow White. I know, very lengthy, but I just had a lot to say on this movie. But yeah, give me your thoughts if you've seen Snow White. I know many people said they won't watch it, so I understand that. If you have seen it, is it as bad as I'm saying this, or do you think it's better than the reviews? I'd love to hear anybody's opinion on that. If you liked it, that's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. But anyways, please tell me what you thought of this movie, or what do you think about, you know, even if you haven't seen it, what do you think about, you know, what's going on around this movie and the disaster it's been. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all and hope you have a good day.